Pertaining to Matthew 5:27-30, you have heard that it was said, "You shall not commit adultery." But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right hand causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. For it is better for you to lose one of your members than for your whole body be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than your whole body go into hell. The passage that I wanted to read was from Craig Keener'S commentary, so y'all can see why I hold him in such high esteem. Pertaining to do not covet others sexually. Jesus' warning against lust would have challenged some ancient hearers' values. Many men in the ancient Mediterranean thought lust healthy and normal. For example, see this source that he mentions. Some magical spells even describe self-stimulation as a way to secure intercourse with the object of one's desire, even if she was married. Jewish writers, however, viewed lust far more harshly. Some, in fact, viewed it as a visual fornication or adultery. Yet Jesus is not challenging his hearers' ethics. The scribes and Pharisees may have agreed with his basic premise, but Jesus challenged their hearts. If your gloves are causing you to sin by not paying attention to me, pull them off and set them on the table. For it is better for you to hear what I am saying than to get distracted by the glove on your hand. Does that make sense, gentlemen? Thank you. Many Christians today, Pharisees may have agreed with his basic premise, but Jesus challenges their hearts, not just their doctrine. Many Christians today similarly profess to agree with Jesus' doctrine here, but they do not obey it, his teaching. Jesus offers an implicit argument from Scripture, not just a cultural critique. And this is where the idea for Matthew being the gospel of desire came from. This entire passage, as Craig actually pulls it in and deals with it. The 7th of the 10 commandments declares, "You shall not commit adultery," while the 10th commandment declares, "You shall not covet," that is desire, anything that belongs to your neighbor. Exodus 20:17. In the popular Greek version of Jesus' day, the 10th commandment begins, "You shall not covet your neighbor's wife," and used the same word for covet that Jesus uses here for lust. In other words, Jesus reads the humanly unenforceable 10th commandment as if it matters as much as the other, more humanly enforceable commandments, those that govern your behavior. He deals with the thought life from the perspective of the 10th commandment. And I have been showing you the thread of the 10th commandment through this entire gospel. If you do not break the letter of the other commandments, but you want to do so in your heart, you are guilty. The 10th commandment. God judges a sinful heart, and hearts that desire what belongs to others are guilty. Achan's sin in the book of Joshua, where he took the stuff, it said, "I coveted them." First problem, first sin. His desire was sin. He desired the thing that God said, devote completely to destruction, which was Ai. Devote the city of Ai completely to destruction as a first fruits. It was to be a burnt offering. When we have people that violate burnt offerings, we have nasty consequences. For example, Saul, "I saved the best from the Amalekites."
To sacrifice to the Lord your God.
Yes, and here is King Agag, who I saved alive. Wait a minute. Had you killed him, you would have been executing. And when the servant doesn't do the full execution, they violate their authority gets destroyed, and as a result, the Lord removes them from their kingship. It's about desire, gang. It's about coveting. Jesus is not giving you a new commandment here. The new commandments are nowhere in the Sermon on the Mount. There are no new commandments in the Sermon on the Mount, for those of you who are not looking. There are no new commandments. These are old commandments. Jesus is bringing them back to their proper frame. Because we only see the 9 commandments. We don't see the 10th one. We don't see the desire issue. And we should. Because out of the overflow of the heart,
the mouth speaks.
Yeah. Who said that?
Jesus.
Bingo. Do you know where he said it?
I think it might have been in Matthew.
Yes. It was in Matthew. As a matter of fact.
12 or 13. It was around where you were the other day with where there's many words. We're accountable for our words, I'm pretty sure.
Overflow of heart.
I can make it up.
Here we go. Overflow of the heart. Yeah, go ahead and look it up, hon. The issue is we're sitting here thinking we're doing the right thing just because our actions, Morris wanted a hug. Thinking that we wanted to do stuff and we did stuff right just because our actions lined up and our hearts are over here. We've got the 9 and the 1. The 1 covers everything else. The 1 doesn't just cover a few things. The 1 covers wrong desire. The 10th commandment has nothing to do with actions. It has to do with desire.
Matthew 12:34.
Matthew 12:34. You brood of vipers, how can you speak good when you are evil? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. Matthew's all about this, repeatedly, over and over and over and over. The interior castle. The interior castle. The interior castle. What are you building on the inside? What does it look like? Is Jesus happy to live there, or are you dumping off dump trucks full of trash in his front yard, in the house that he has built in your heart for him to live and the Holy Spirit to live? Jesus is an exhorter. Jesus is all about the presentation, the curb appeal, and the interior of it. He's looking at this thing and it's like, wait a minute, this is going to mess up the rotation. I don't like the way this makes my yard look. I've got flowers over here. I've got the bunnies hopping through, eating the clover. I don't want your junk killing my grass, killing my clover, killing my daffodils and my dandelions, my roses. Matthew, it's about desire. Do you have anything else, hon, that you wanted to add?
Desire is not just sexual. Okay? That might go over your guys' head because you're not there. And I'm glad you're not there. But, or at least I don't think you're there. Maybe you are. But it's a desire of anything that your neighbor has, or that your friend has, or that somebody at school has that you want. And the desire gives birth to the sin. If you're coveting something in your heart, how can I get it? How can I get it? How can I get it? Your focus is on how can I get it? And often, especially if you're coveting something that's wrong, like your neighbor's wife, that would be wrong. But even coveting a Switch or a DS or a talent that somebody is a much better ball player than you, and you covet their talent and you get obsessed with somebody's talent. There are ways that we sin with that desire. There is nothing wrong with having a desire for you know, hey, I want to be a better ball player, or hey, I really want to switch, or whatever. But if your heart is bent that way, especially if it starts going toward, an out of balance, this is my focus. Everything I do has some kind of theme related to that. That's not healthy. That's a coveting. And especially if it goes toward, how can I steal it? Like the person who stole yours the other day. Might have just been an opportunity. They may have been coveting something for a really long time and saw an opportunity and took it. That's wrong. Stealing is wrong, always. So, to steal a resource or someone's time or someone's object because you want it, you feel like you have more right of it than somebody else, is wrong. But coveting can take lots of forms, and you need to be on guard against it. That strong desire can
Derail you.
Can derail you, yeah. And any time it comes in a sexual form, it's going to land badly. So, you start feeling sexual desires, that's a whole nother ball game. You're real dangerous ground, and get it under the blood. Go to the Lord.
The only way that sexual desire, because we are designed for that to, be fruitful and multiply, it's part of the garden mandate. The only way that it's not dangerous, and there can still be dangers along the way, is if you've met the person that Father has for you. You're supposed to sexually desire them. Now, put all kinds of guards up and move along in a godly fashion. Interesting. Move along in a godly fashion and do what you were designed to do.
Yeah.
Flow in it, right, in the right season, the right timing. And Father opens it up so you can awaken desire the way it's supposed to be. But there's a proper sequence for all of that. The fact of the matter is, you will someday, the three of you, will be somebody's husband or somebody's wife. Some man's wife or some woman's husband. You run towards the Lord, you run towards what He has for you. You see the people that are running in a similar direction, not zooming off this way or zooming off that way, but they're running parallel with you. Oh, okay. I see people to my left or my right, running in a similar direction as me. All right, let's see what we got here. Or somebody that may be running off that way, but they have something that is complementary. You can switch it up and run that way, and you can pair well together. Who's the best gift for me to marry? The one Father has for you. If you're a prophet and He has an exhorter for you, Johnny and Samantha Roberts, Western Cape, Tableview, Cape Town, South Africa, then that's what He has for you. Just because you're a prophet doesn't mean you'll marry a mercy, or vice versa. Just because you're a servant doesn't mean you'll marry a giver or a ruler or an exhorter. Just because you're a giver doesn't mean you'll necessarily marry a prophet. A wounded prophet might need a healthy prophet to kind of help them get into some places of health. Father has a place for you to heal, just like He marries a servant and a mercy together. Both have issues who can grow into places of health. So, here's the question. Look at the desires, look at what's on the inside, look at Jesus who's standing in the yard, and sometimes when He gets done mowing the lawn, like any good redneck, because He's a southern Jew. Hello, Israelite, He was from the city of Bethlehem, He was a southerner, He was a Jew. He was a construction worker. Once He got done mowing the lawn, He stood out on the street and looked at it and said, "Job well done." or the house and said, "Job well done." And he breathed it in, and he was satisfied with what he had done. Tribe of Judah was in the southern part of Israel. It was the southern kingdom. Jesus was a southerner.
Big old southern.
He was a hick from the sticks. There you go. He was from Bethlehem, the city of David. David was a hick from the sticks. Little tiny shepherd boy. He was a stripling. Just like the Jungle Boy that was written about by Kipling. But he fought like the devil when his temper got scared. He got stirred up. And then he got mouthy. Jonathan was attracted to the mouthiness because Jonathan was a prophet. Come on. Stand outside, look, and see what's going on. Talk to Jesus. Say, is there anything that you don't like about the digs that you have? The place where you're staying, your pad, your crib. Is there something about it you don't like? And then go in with him into your interior castle and say, okay, we're going to fix the drapes, we're going to fix the carpet, we might have to pull some subflooring up, lay some new stuff down. There might be some things you need to do with him. There might be a relationship. Since we're bringing this from the metaphor into the reality and the principle, there might be a relationship that he wants you to realign. There might be a class that he wants you to take that you've been resisting. He might have for you to change schools, or whatever the case. He might have for you to go to a state school. Imagine that. We can be Gator fans and go to South Carolina or Clemson. Go figure. My word. Or wherever. Just gang. What you don't understand is he has something for you. Are you leaning into it? Are you letting everything else distract you? Are your desires in alignment with what he has and what he wants and what he's trying to do in your life, in your heart? But you get the point of what I'm saying with respect to the metaphor of the house and the castle on the inside of you. Jesus doesn't like trash dumped in his front yard any more than any of us do. So, there you go. Just some thoughts.